Welcome to Wembley for this weekend's first FA Cup semi-final between Crystal Palace and Aston Villa. Two clubs very much on the up and with well-founded belief that this could finally be their year. Palace are still waiting for a first trophy and have had two near misses in the FA Cup. In 1990 they drew 3-3 in a classic against Manchester United, before Sir Alex Ferguson's side edged the replay 1-0. In 2016, United again stood in their way. Jason Puncheon gave Palace the lead before Juan Mata and Jesse Lingard broke their hearts again. This season they've shown that they can be a match for anyone, and they've made serene progress in the Cup. They're enjoying their best ever era. Can they finally land the big prize? Villa are a grand old name of English football, but 1957 was the last time that they won the Cup, a then record 7th win. They've been easily beaten in their last two finals, in 2000 against Chelsea and then 15 years later by Arsenal. Progress under Unai Emery has been remarkable, a staple in the higher reaches of the Premier League, and now within touching distance of some serious silverware. So it is a big day for Oliver Glasner and Crystal Palace, a 6th FA Cup semi-final as they search for a third final appearance. They've twice fallen short at that final stage, both times as we saw against Manchester United. Could this year be different? First they have to get there and they have Aston Villa standing in their way. They'd lost 8 of 10 FA Cup ties against Premier League clubs, but in this season's quarter-final they put out Fulham. It gives them a springboard for today. Well, Palace have conceded just once on the road to today and have played only one Premier League side. Stockport and Doncaster were fairly comfortably brushed aside before that goalkeeper's challenge early in the Millwall game and a goal conceded, but a job done in the end. They then cruised past Fulham. They haven't been at their best lately, but will be primed to go well in this competition again. Well, now proof that Wembley dreams really do come true. Adam Wharton played here as a 10-year-old for his primary school in the Kids' Cup final of 2015. And here he is with a chance to help Palace into an FA Cup final 10 years later. His school, by the way, won that day on penalties. He'll be dreaming of something similar, but maybe a bit less scary. It's proved to be a good move to South London from Marseille for Ismaïla Sarr. 7 goals in the Premier League and big contributions against today's opponents. He has 3 goals and 1 assist against Villa in 2 starts this season against them, and every time he's played against them he's either scored or assisted. Well, Jean-Philippe Mateta was on the wrong end of that horror challenge against Millwall, but recovered after 4 weeks out. He'll be keen to make a big contribution here. He scored last time against Arsenal in an improved display, only his 2nd goal in his last 8 games. We can take a statistical look now at Crystal Palace, 12th in the Premier League at the moment. Their FA Cup best, as we were seeing finalists in 1990 and 2016. That 1990 final, one of the great Wembley finals. Last season, they went out in the 3rd round against Everton. Their current form, 4 matches without a win. But, as I said, much improved against Arsenal last time. So Aston Villa are the 7-time winners, and that is the good news, but the bad news for them is that their last FA Cup was back in 1957. They, of course, have underachieved since, and this is their first semi-final in 10 years when they beat Liverpool, but were ultimately denied by Arsenal. Villa have lost 6 of their last 8 games at Wembley too, but now under Unai Emery, they are a very, very different proposition, and they will be confident that they can progress from today. Well, the early rounds this year were a stiff test for Villa, with West Ham and then Spurs both beaten by a single goal before the draw threw up 2 games against Championship teams in the last 16 and then the quarter-final. First Cardiff were beaten at Villa Park, then Villa comfortably swept aside Preston North End at Deepdale to seal their place at Wembley. Well, in Yuri Tielemans, Aston Villa have got serious playing pedigree in the centre of their midfield, of course, but they also have serious FA Cup pedigree. This was the man who scored the winning goal so dramatically in 2021 when Leicester surprised Chelsea, one of the great winning Wembley goals, and something similar here would be sensational. Well, Ollie Watkins has been left out of a couple of big games lately, has expressed his disgust at that, notably both legs of that Champions League quarter-final, so he'll feel that he has a point to prove here. He scored twice in his last 9 games, but scored a pretty good semi-final goal for England last summer, so we know what he can produce on the big occasion. Well, what a couple of seasons it's been for Hales Owen-born Morgan Rogers, a real local lad. 8 goals in the Premier League in his breakout campaign, 14 in all competitions and a couple in the FA Cup as well. Can he produce again to take Villa into an FA Cup final? He was also scouted by Unai Emery while playing in the FA Cup for Middlesbrough. 7th in the Premier League, Aston Villa. They are 7-time winners, as we have been hearing, of this FA Cup. 4th round last season, they were beaten by Chelsea, and what a run of form they're in. They might have fallen short just in that Champions League, but 12 wins in their last 14 games. Doesn't it look aside at Wembley? Looks absolutely terrific, and great to see different names here as well. We caught up with both camps in the week building up to the game. Marcus Buckland reports.
And Ketia, is he onside? Well, he smashed it in, and the Wembley arch looms large for Crystal Palace.
If you get into the semi-final, it's a massive achievement. But you know, we're an ambitious group, ambitious club. We want to go all the way. Semi-finals for us isn't enough. It's a massive occasion, really exciting times, especially for a club like us, who a cup competition is a real chance to go far. And I think you've seen over the last couple of years, we really take it seriously.
Palace last reached the final in 2016, when Manchester United came from behind to lift the trophy.
Here's Valencia. 10 men are striving for a good breakthrough here. They've got it! Jesse Lingard with a thumping goal!
Now that we are in the semis, it's been mentioned a few times by various people. I think maybe Wardy was the only one that was here back then, so I'm sure that he'll have memories of that. We want to go as far as we can, and along with that, if we create history, then even better. We know we've got a group of players here, a squad that can go all the way. We've got the individual quality to go and hurt teams, and that's what we plan to do against Villa.
Here comes Ramsey with that searing burst of pace and skill, and the finish to match. 3-0, game, set and match for Aston Villa.
It's a good opportunity for us to be in this semi-final, to enjoy this moment with our supporters. Of course, I respect a lot, massive respect for the coach, for his coach, massive respect for Crystal Palace, for their players, and massive respect for the semi-final.
Jacob Ramsey, what a stunning start!
We know what to expect from them. We've done well against them in the last couple of years, but you know, a cup semi-final is a completely different ball game. You know, they're a top team. It's cliche to say that, but I think the way they've performed their last couple of years with their manager and the squad they've got is frightening. The depth they've got in their team. It's going to be a really tough game.
I love my profession, my work, and to smell good stadium, good pitches. I like it, and tomorrow I will enjoy it. As a coach, my challenge when I arrived here was to get some trophies during the way. At the last time, the most important I learned and I enjoyed was the way, not the end. And how we are doing this year, the way in FA Cup is really amazing.
We want to win it. Getting to the semis isn't enough, getting to the final won't be enough, and you know, it'll be disappointing if anything else happens, but we've got to be 100% to get a result against them. But you know, it's a one-off game, and we need to be right at it.
So fascinating just to hear the motivation of both managers, of both teams, as they prepare for one of the biggest occasions of their careers, as they look to find a place in the FA Cup final. People might say at times the competition is diminished. It never feels it on days like this. It really doesn't. This is some special occasion. Thinking about Oliver Glasner looking to become the first Austrian manager to reach an FA Cup final. Austria would be indeed the first new nation represented by a manager in the cup final since Germany in 2021, when it was Thomas Tuchel for Chelsea, and Unai Emery has progressed from each of the 4 single-legged semi-final cup ties he's managed in. All of those, though, with Paris Saint-Germain against arguably inferior opposition, and that is not the case today. But interesting that he seems to have such a golden touch in both cup and indeed in league. Let's get to our commentary team now, though, for the big one. Stuart Robson, and first, Martin Tyler.
Welcome to semi-final Saturday, as Crystal Palace and Aston Villa about to step out at Wembley, each looking for a giant stride towards a major achievement in their histories. Palace have never won this iconic competition. Villa have lifted the cup 7 times, but not since 1957. It is their 4th meeting this season, and Villa yet to win. It's the 4th time they've been paired together in the FA Cup, and Palace are yet to win. So, Stuart Robson, history or current form, where are we going to go with this?
Well, current form would say that Aston Villa are the better team at the moment. Crystal Palace, after beating Fulham, haven't played particularly well, but I think their minds have been on this game. This is what they're playing for, Crystal Palace. What a moment for them and their supporters. They would love to come back here for the FA Cup final.
Well, both played in midweek. Villa lost at Manchester City in the last minute on Tuesday. Palace got a good point at Arsenal the next night, but have had 1 day less to recover, which could be significant. Now, great respect between the 2 foreign coaches, Austrian Oliver Glasner and Spain's Unai Emery. They've both got plenty to be proud of to get to this stage, but it's about winning now. No one remembers the losing semi-finalists.
Let's bring you today's team lineup, starting with Crystal Palace.
Well, some team news for you. Crystal Palace have defender Chris Richards available again after suspension. He comes back in place of Jefferson Lerma. The top scorer, Geoffrey Mateta, was protected on the bench in midweek, but did come on for the last 10 minutes at Arsenal to grab the equaliser. The 17-goal striker back in the lineup at the expense of Eddie Nketiah. And Ismaila Sarr has scored 3 times against Aston Villa this season. He's also, unsurprisingly, brought back into the 11. Unai Emery has a fully fit squad to choose from. His goalkeeper, Emi Martinez, won the FA Cup with Arsenal 5 years ago. Yuri Tielemans scored the winning goal here for Leicester in the final the following season. Marcus Rashford has 2 winners' medals with Manchester United, but he drops to the bench today as Ollie Watkins is recalled. Marco Asensio and the captain, John McGinn, Super John McGinn to the Villa fans. They're also now rested and back raring to go. Stuart Watkins is very interested because, he's been fuming, to use his own words, that he wasn't in the quarter-final lineups against PSG, where Villa came so close to reaching a semi-final in that competition.
Well, you can understand why. He's been a great forward for them. He links up the play, he can score goals, he can run down the side of defenders, so he would be disappointed. But he's got a bit to prove here. He starts up front, and he will be a threat certainly to those 3 centre-halves of Crystal Palace.
Anthony Taylor is the referee. He has the rare honour of refereeing 2 FA Cup finals, 2017 and 2020, both between Arsenal and Chelsea. It doesn't happen very often for a referee to get 2 shots at the big day, but here we are, a bit short of that. And on the right, Steve Coppell, who was a player with Manchester United, won the FA Cup, of course, but was manager of Crystal Palace with his assistant there, Alan Smith, when they reached the final in 1990 and lost, ironically, to Manchester United after a replay.
Alan Smith spent a fair time in charge of Crystal Palace.
The lovely thing about the semi-finals, which can be tense affairs, is that more fans are able to get in. Corporate presence isn't quite as great. Is that Brian Little of the former manager of Aston Villa.
It's Ian Taylor next to him.
Yeah.
Looks very well if it is Ryan Little.
Of course, a fine player for Villa as well. Unai Emery is almost worth the admission to watch him in the dugout, actually. He has formed a remarkable renaissance for this famous football club. Much more history about Aston Villa, founder members of the Football League. Palace were founder members of the old third tier 32 years later. And this is only the 22nd season these two clubs have been in the same division. And now here they are in an FA Cup semi-final. Palace in their usual kit. Clashed the claret and blue of Villa. So they're in the all-white. An early touch to Emi Martinez, who's had a mixed time recently. Obviously a top-class goalkeeper.
We will see a lot of this from Aston Villa. Martinez taking his time on the ball, just waiting for Palace to make their first move. They do like to build up slowly from the back.
Here's Matty Cash. Cameron's ball, and Cash has kept on running into the smoke from the early pyrotechnics. And I think everybody can see that that's a goal kick. Cash on the charge early.
He's a fullback that does love to get forward. He's going to be up against it. He's going to be against Eze, probably the most creative player for Crystal Palace. There they are against each other just there. You saw that picture.
Lacroix, one of the recruits by Oliver Glasner. It's Villa's 22nd semi-final. They're aiming for a 12th final and an 8th triumph. A 6th semi for Palace, hoping for a 3rd crack on the big day, and of course a first win. Richards with the header, and the camera going in. There's Tyrick Mitchell. Teta just checking to stay onside. Okay. A lot of these players have had the experience playing at this ground before. A good number of them with England, like Gahey. Always a special experience, and for the supporters as well. There's Daniel Munoz, who's been a revelation as a right wing back, Colombian with seemingly limitless powers of running.
He does love to get forward as well, down his right-hand side. Mitchell will try and do the same down that left-hand side. It is very much a back three for Crystal Palace.
Headed on by Mateta, who survived a real fitness scare earlier in the competition at Millwall when he got a boot in the face around the ear, wearing protection as he came back. Camera, Cash. Now Esri Konsa, another of the members of the England squad, who's on the pitch today at the National Stadium.
Palace aren't going to dive in these sort of areas. Aston Villa are waiting for Teta to close down, or Eze to close down, so they can play the next ball into midfield or into the front players.
By Lacroix, the message from Oliver Glasner is you can make yourself Palace heroes' immortality, really. Would fashion the best ever season in the South London club's history. And had a terrible start to it as well. We didn't win our league game until late October. And they're safely in the middle of the table, guaranteed a 13th successive campaign in the top flight. Palace aren't going to take the bait, are they? They're not going to press.
No, they certainly aren't. I've seen a lot of Villa do this. It can be frustrating when they're not playing particularly well, because they just keep the ball at the back. They're waiting for opening that gap so they can play it forward. Sometimes they have to wait a long time. We saw that in the very first game against West Ham in this competition.
Yes, Villa have knocked out 2 London Premier League clubs already, West Ham and Spurs, and second tier Cardiff and Preston after that. Here's Marco Asensio on loan from Paris Saint-Germain, ironically, the team that knocked Villa out of the Champions League. What a tight call that was in the end. Yuri Tielemans. Academia going for the return pass and being told by referee Taylor to get up.
It was all a bit too tight, really. Niels, who you were talking about, was the player that blocked the run of the left back.
It's a very extravagant gesture of "you're not fooling me" from the man in charge. Picked on by Sarr. Palace have also accounted for 2 fellow clubs from the capital in Millwall and Fulham, after knocking out 3rd tier Stockport and 4th tier Doncaster Rovers. That's been the pathway. Now, who's going to make the step into a showpiece occasion on May the 17th here? It's extraordinary that Palace have really dominated the 3 games, certainly in terms of the result. They knocked Villa out of the League Cup in October, and they drew there in the Premier League the following month. In the most recent meeting, the return fixture at Palace, the London club robbed home 4-1. And last season, right at the end, Stuart, you might remember it, they clobbered Villa 5-0 on the final day of the last campaign.
Just look at the way Villa are set up. At times Asensio will go into a wider area or drop deeper, and McGinn will make those runs from outside to in.
Here's Camara, who's missed a lot of the season through injury, but is crucial to the cause. Konsa. Well, there's some sparring going on here. Pau Torres is partnering Konsa. Tyrone Mings, who's been in and out of the team, is amongst the substitutes. Natural left-sider on the back line. Martinez won the FA Cup with Arsenal, then won the Community Shield, and I think I'm right in saying never played for the club again.
It's been a bad move for him, has it?
No.
Just looking for that run over the top. There was the chance for Ollie Watkins to make the run.
Here comes Cash. Foul has been given, to consternation of Camara.
It's the player that's had a bit of space down that right-hand side so far, Cash. There's the foul. Gay.
Seen too much of Morgan Rogers, yeah? He's just in front of Matty Cash there. Who is quite an interesting route to this level. He's now an England international, but he was a youngster at West Bromwich Albion. Everybody talked about him. He went to Manchester City and didn't really fit the blueprint, I think. The sky blueprint of Pep Guardiola. Went to Middlesbrough, and suddenly Aston Villa brought him back into the Midlands, and his career has really stepped up since then. Another triumph really for Unai Emery.
He's just had a little argument with his manager and coach. Rodgers with Emery, who should pick up Mitchell as he makes his forward runs. I think Rodgers wanted to pass him on to Cash. Emery was saying go with him. There's a player we've hardly mentioned so far. Walton in midfield.
Much the better now that Walton's fit and available. He's got to track back now. Actually, for Palace, Nunez's pass was interceptable by Lacroix.
I don't often see that in modern day football. Lacroix just kicking it out of play and giving a throw-in away.
Now Torres. Quick challenge by the American Richards. Whoa. He tried to set Munoz. If they've got Cash, Aston Villa, Palace have got Munoz. Comparisons will be interesting at the end of the afternoon.
Turn cross wasn't quite good enough from Sarr.
Oliver Glasner admitted he'd never watched an FA Cup final. Most foreign coaches who come into English football rave about it. They've grown up on family television screens, whatever part of the world, but he's pointed out he lived in an area of Austria, close to the German border, where all they got were the local channels. So he's picking up the history as he goes along, and he might well be part of a cup final. If it goes his way today, he will be part of a cup final.
Quite the understanding for Camara and Watkins. Watkins made the run. Camara saw it, and as he put his head down, Watkins stopped his run.
Here's Camara. Gonna have a crack. Goal scoring, not really out of his skill set. One in this is 93rd appearance for Aston Villa.
Just got there first here, Asensio. Camera, a little bit of space.
Why not have a try? Dean Henderson in the Crystal Palace goal, a man his team are trying to beat. Munoz trying to flick it on. For Mateta, might have been offside, but the assistant was going to keep his flag down in case Mateta got away. See that protective guard on the left ear, which is where serious damage was done.
Up to that point, he was exceptional, wasn't he, for Crystal Palace this season?
He scored a lovely goal on Wednesday night at Arsenal, and he's only given 10 minutes to freshen his legs, really. Floated it over David Raya from distance. Here's Pau Torres. Cautious beginning, I think we could say.
It's difficult to see where the space is at the moment from either side.
Bright, who played in the FA Cup final in 1990, along with the Palace chairman Steve Parish there. Mark still works for the club. Bright and Wright, Wright being the great Ian Wright. A handful in that Palace attack. Martinez going long, the service that Watkins loves, and he's got it. Held it up well against Lacroix. Watkins has only started 2 of the last 8 Villa games before today. The other 6 starting near central striking position. Marcus Rashford.
It's disappointing, I would say, from Aston Villa. The ball over the top. Watkins holds it up in a very good area, level with the edge of the penalty box, and end up going all the way back to Martinez.
Lucadinha. Yeah, Watkins again. Quite getting tight, but not so tight to involve referee Anthony Taylor.
And they haven't got the ball. Asensio goes up front with Watkins to try and press. Ends up being a 4-4-2.
Here's Gay. One for Mateta to chase. And just skipped away from him.
There's the threat, though. Every so often he will come short and spin in behind. He has got a lot of power. As you said, it just skipped off the turf. Well judged by Martinez.
I have to say, Oliver Glasner's got the best out of Mateta, who was just a bit part player under the previous management, Roy Hodgson, who brought him into the club, gave him his debut score in his debut. Hardly looked like scoring again until the change of coach suddenly turned him into a truly super striker. It's with France in the Olympics in the summer as well. Again, trying to steer it through for Watkins. Here's Mateta. Strength. Challenged by camera. He's got a yellow card for that. An attempt to play the ball.
That's why Mateta is so important to Crystal Palace. Not had much of the play. He held it up. He does well. He knows what the tackle's coming in. Just takes his touch away from camera. He's going to be under pressure for the rest of the game here.
Just a reminder, the second semi-final tomorrow. Nottingham Forest against Manchester City, who are bidding to reach a 3rd final in a row. Towards Lacroix, is going to get there. Steer it across. Quite get the power. Retrieved by Richards. We've got a nudge from McGinn, but Richards got a corner off McGinn. Long throws back in fashion these days. Football coaching intellectuals rather turned up their noses at it, but now the effectiveness has been shown again. Not directly on this occasion, but Palace picking up the second ball with Mitchell. Gay's in the thick of it. Camera looking for the exit signs from the penalty area. And here's Morgan Rogers, who's got Villa up the field and got them a free kick. Card is out again. Tyreek Mitchell this time.
Great pace and energy from Rogers here. Just sweeps it into his path. He tried to grab it in there. Already one go at him. Quite rightly gets the yellow card. Really good play from Rogers. The first bit of play we've seen from him.
Just pulling around the back. Asensio, so much as success with Real Madrid. And he's done very well. He's got 8 goals already since January. Aston Villa looking for an assist here. He's going to take the corner now, maybe.
Actually, there wasn't a Villa player around it when it came into the box. It was that man there, Richards, that got the header on it. A perfect header. I think he was trying to head it out off the side of his head.
It's 2 by the front post. Now it's on the edge of the 6-yard box for Aston Villa. And Taylor took advice from his assistant. Kamada played for Oliver Glasner in Germany. They won the Europa League together with Eintracht Frankfurt. Emery has a even more glittering collection of successes as a coach, particularly in that competition. To pull on for Sarr. They haven't really got him into a position where he can run at or run in behind Aston Villa. Eze did well to retain possession. That's the attentions of camera. Here's Kamada. Oh. Cross by Sarr, sails harmlessly wide from the Villa point of view.
It was the right idea. There's 2 players racing in at the far post. They'll rip it into a good area.
And Mitchell was one of them. Scampered back.
You see that ball? It was on. Just didn't quite get it right.
It does seem extraordinary, Stuart, that 1957, the last time Aston Villa, such a competitive club, of course, they had times not that long after that. They ended up in the 3rd tier of English football 10 years later. Been back at the top for a good while. Well, they did drop out of the Premier League for a while. Here's Watkins. They won a playoff here, and John McGinn scored to get back in the big time. Eze went down and right under the nose of the referee, nothing doing. Halfway through the first half.
Yeah, we just saw there the possession stats. Aston Villa far more possession, but hasn't been in the best areas. We've seen a lot of this play. Really penetrating at the moment.
Asensio's flick, and he goes again. Watkins complaining that he was fouled, but Anthony Taylor's set his bar now. There's going to be a fair amount of physical contact allowed, and I think we'd all say aye to that.
Yeah, I think he gets a little touch on the ball, Kamada.
Here goes Digne, and that excellent left foot. Adam Morton, who still looks like a kid, won the Kids' Cup here 10 years ago, playing as a 10-year-old. To a playoff game for a place in the Premier League. Let's skip through everybody, and then first real chance for Morgan Rogers. It wasn't an easy bounce. We'll be wondering, could he have done better?
Well, I think he tried to slice across it here. It's a bit easy to get the cross in. They don't defend it particularly well. It's a real miss from Lacroix. You see he's trying to cut across the ball. Slice it into that far corner.
Yeah, it was a spinning ball, wasn't it? And see what the intention was.
And he couldn't go with his left foot, so he had to go with his right foot and use exactly that technique. He just didn't quite get it right.
One of those where the boot is high and the player's head is low. He's there showing a bit of concern to Cash.
I'm not sure that Cash was caught. And it was a high boot. He had every right to go for it to start with it. It's about just over waist high. Be a bit unlucky there.
And Cash has recovered very quickly. Semi-final, still seeking an opening goal. Two very tactical coaches, knowing that matches like this are about moments. And they're looking for that special moment, but in a sensible way, really, not hell for leather, that's for sure. Extra time, of course, and penalties available, has to be finished today. Asensio full of apology. Kamada has nothing to say back.
Yeah, good turn. He realises that Asensio's coming in, just turns away from him. That's all players do when you're in that situation. You just leave that trailing leg there. Caught Crystal Palace midfield player.
Switch play by Wharton. Spot on. Munoz. Now Richards. Gay. Back three has worked for Crystal Palace. That's the right-sided member of it. Let's allow Munoz and Mitchell to give the full width. Mitchell setting off here, looking for something over the top. He goes again. It was not really dealt with initially by Concert. Mateta trying to sniff out an opening from close range. It would have been. Eze. Back to Richards. Bit of spell of possession here for Palace. Gay. Richards, spare man. Only getting so far.
Again, that defeats the object. So Richards was the spare man, starts coming out with the ball, can't see a pass into the front, ends up going backwards.
He's in the same position again here.
That's why we're not seeing too much goalmouth action at the moment.
Lacroix. Holding a line, Mateta trying to find some movement that might get him on the shoulder of the last defender and onside. The frustration for forward in those situations is the ball doesn't come, you keep having to do it, turn and run again and shift position. He's on the move here. That certainly can make it difficult. And Mateta. But it's not going to count. He thought what he did was fairly dispossessed here.
And that's the threat, playing the ball in behind. Yes, the defender's favourite to it. Slightly overruns it. And the referee decides that it's a foul by Mateta.
On Concert.
Yeah, let's have a look at it from this sort of angle. Does just about touch him, but I think Concert made a real mess of that.
And it was a lovely finish. You could say Martinez had heard the whistle. I don't think he had. I think it was clear then. Disbelief in the Palace ranks, in the dugout and on the pitch.
Well, that was, in my view, weak defending by Concert. That ball played over the top. His angle of approach to the ball all wrong.
What I would say, Stuart, is Anthony Taylor has already let several issues like that go unpunished. Maybe even more physical contact than there was on that one.
Absolutely.
But of course the consequence of not blowing the whistle is that much greater. So sometimes, I'm not saying necessarily the reason here, but you could argue they officiate on the safe side. If the goal doesn't count, it's never talked about again. But I think the Palace fans, if they lose the game, will look back on that and think that Ezri Konsa was a lucky young man.
Holding his back, that wasn't where the
Mistake
contact was.
by Pau Torres, charged down by Sarr. Suddenly Palace are fancying this. Eze! Oh! They are fancying it. He stands and takes a salute, a statue of success. Emirates Eze with a semi-final sensation.
Well, I'm not sure the pass was meant for him, but he certainly made the most of it. Scored that great goal against Fulham in the last round. And on his right foot, he just sweeps it beyond Martinez.
I think the earliness of the shot took Martinez by surprise, maybe.
Does it go over the top of Martinez? It's a really good strike. Yes, of course it is. But it's good closing down. That's where they win the ball. Sarr doing the closing down. And then goes inside the next challenge. Sure, the pass was meant there, but what a good strike from 20 yards out. Pau Torres makes the first mistake. Sarr's got the energy to get there. He doesn't defend it particularly well. Now Sarr to come inside. Look at that. No chance for the goalkeeper in the end because it just bends away from him. I thought it went over the top of him, but he can't quite get his fingertips to it, can he? It's a really good strike from Eze.
Well, forget about the Konsa incident, because Palace have put that out of their minds, and a couple of minutes later have swept themselves into the lead with a truly outstanding goal. And they've got the edge over Aston Villa again. They have pretty much in the 3 previous meetings this season. Villa got a draw home in the Premier League, but knocked out of the League Cup at home, and then hammered at Selhurst Park. Watkins trying to get his team up the field, and it's the thought that Palace conceded from a corner or a set piece against Arsenal on Wednesday. Eze also scored, by the way, from a similar position on the edge of the area in that game, from a set piece of their own. The semi-final has caught fire here. Yuri Tielemans. Clever corner. Quite work out. They've got a great set-piece coach in Austin McPhee. And that's just going to loop wide. As Villa look to repair the damage straight away. And Pau Torres in particular.
Well, now they've got to play with a bit more energy, Aston Villa. Just keep the ball at the back. Good jump from Pau Torres. Almost comes off his ear in the end. He's forward. Oh, he's going wide. Straight away we saw Ollie Watkins running down the side of Lacroix. He's trying to use that space in the outside left area.
Kamada. Eze. I think they might be offside here, but it won't. Well, Henderson has to head it away. The flag has gone up. Here's always the question asked about when the flag stays down. If that could have been close to being an injury on the goalkeeper then, because both players had to commit for it, because they don't know whether it's offside or not until Henderson made the header. The flag went up. So they'll have to take it on the chin, the fans and the head coach. Plenty of time to recover. Palace have got their noses in front here at Wembley.
They haven't tried to play it from the back, Crystal Palace. They've gone long with their goal kicks from the keeper. Here's another one.
It's meant by Camara. Tidied up by Richards. Hammered forward by Henderson. It's a lovely touch by Eze. Mateta, not so good. After he passed the ball, the camera was sent tumbling. By Kamada.
Good feet
between them.
Camera.
Yeah. He's a very significant player for them that hasn't been involved as much as Emery would have liked. Since he's been fit, he's been pretty much picked in every game. Nicely done by McGinn, rolling away from Richards, backed up by Tielemans.
Quite right, the players in the box are saying, why didn't you cross it to McGinn? He'd done all the hard work, just needed to wrap his left foot round it, deliver it into the 6-yard box. And 3 players racing in there, Aston Villa.
10 minutes to go to half-time. Camera looking for McGinn, finding it was a good touch from the Scotsman again. Amaral once more, working with Rodgers. That was a pretty strong challenge by Mark Gay that Rodgers and Mitchell, I think, as well.
Look at this nasty one. Let's have a look again. Actually, barging for the ball.
Gay got the ball on the stretch. See it here. There. And Rodgers became the filling in the sandwich.
Yeah, just taking a whack to the head off the knee of one of the players by accident. A bit of thinking to do here, Unai Emery.
Palace fans. Close-up view of their team defending their 1-0 lead here. Pau Torres. Lucadinha. Now McGinn. Cash. A lot of players in white forward here. Plenty back for Palace. With Mateta. He says, I'm having that, and he's away. And he's still going, Jean-Philippe Mateta. It's a brilliant run. And trying to pick out Sarr. What a break. That's, again, a thumbnail sketch of Mateta.
Well, I think he did pick out Sarr. I don't think Sarr made the most of it. What a bit of play that was from Mateta.
And here comes Watkins. Him really opening up. Watkins could be in behind here. Akra getting the ball and then taking the applause.
I think he was quite pleased with himself there, Lacroix. Good run from Watkins, just starting to impose himself on the game. And I think there was a massive chance up the other end, created by that man there, and not taken by Sarr, who was coming round the back.
Mateta's next job is to mark that front post zone. Listen, back pedaling, and he keeps it out. Konsa coming in. Villa not done yet in this attack. Kamada gets it away. Dean Henderson's not the kind of goalkeeper who goes out and the penalty spot to command the box, but he's very adept on his line. And Rodgers is going to maybe give her a chance to put it on the money again from the set piece.
Asensio's going over there and made the save. It's a jump well here. Great leap from him, heads it down, does everything right, really.
It's a very good start.
Yeah, it's almost gone past him, hasn't it? Nice height for him, I would say. That was the only thing in his favour.
He's under pressure again here. from Marco Asensio. And Palace happy to do some agricultural defending. Get themselves up the pitch. There's far more verve and vigour now about this first half. Really transformed by the goal. And the disallowed goal just before it.
I'd love to see a replay of that chance that Sarr had. We haven't seen it yet. From our position up here, when that cross came in, it had to be a goal. I felt sure as it went to Sarr.
Thompson. Marco Asensio. Watkins peeling away, looking for a diagonal ball. But it didn't come. It's been given as a foul by Kamada.
Just that he nipped the ball away from Tielemans there. Just caught the former Leicester man.
He's attacking the end of the ground where he scored that wonderful winner for Leicester. He's also scored a couple of goals here for Belgium against England. Not that long ago, about a year ago.
It's fair to say he took a little time to settle at Aston Villa, as well as he had done at Leicester when he first went to the...
There's not many who played more minutes this season than Yuri Tielemans, though. He has settled in now. He's playing a little bit deeper in the selection today to accommodate Marco Asensio. Constant. Tielemans. McGinn. Camera. Quite penalised. Palace aren't happy about that.
Did he have to go through Ollie Watkins to get the ball? The referee thought so. It's a good battle between those two, Ollie Watkins and Lacroix. He probably does have to go through the ankle of Watkins to get there.
Towards Pau Torres. Cross by McGinn. And Konsa again in that far post position from which he nearly scored a couple of minutes ago. I think that's gone out. Goal kick.
What a cross from McGinn. Played it blind. Crystal Palace defenders weren't ready for it. Pass to McGinn here. Just whips it round the corner. Certainly no foul, I don't think. Good defending by Mitchell at the far post. There's that moment again.
You can see it
driving down the side. Beats his man. And watch Sarr coming round the back. He has to do a lot better than that. He might have seen it late. And just in play. Lovely little flick over Konsa. That centre forward play at its very best.
And he was running in at pace, wasn't he? Couldn't quite adjust. There's Digne. Tielemans. Not too much in the way of stoppages in the first half, leaving a couple of added minutes. And Aston Villa put it to good use. And maybe they can here. In the end, Asensio's shot was blocked. He's the man of the half in terms of quality of the goal. And Palace now with 6 players forward here, one of whom is Sarr. Oh, that was a real chance for Mitchell. Eze. Villa aren't out of the woods in this particular attack yet. Munoz trying to get it across. Oh, it could so easily, Stuart, have been 2-0.
Well, that's a player that just can't use his right foot. Still pressure on here.
Touched away for a corner, and Villa, having looked threatening a moment or two at the other end, could easily have gone in 2 goals adrift.
Well, the last 15 minutes have been really good. Here's the chance again. Lovely ball played in. Sarr showing his pace. Just plays it into a good area. He completely misses it. What an opportunity. Just watch here, on his right foot, has a think about it. Misses it with his right, hits his standing leg.
He knows. There's still time for this corner to be taken. It could easily again have been a second with Lacroix reaching for it at the back post. From the perspective, work to be done.
As you said, there's the man of the moment. Great goal from him. He's their talisman. He's the player that just adds that little bit of creativity to their hard-working play. Foil for Mateta.
Again, he's got into the game since Villa went behind. Tielemans, harassed by Wharton. Now Cash. Camera. Let's just want to see this to the half-time whistle now. 20 seconds or so to go. Konsa. Cash. That will be that for the first half, which was illuminated by Emirates Eze with a sensational semi-final goal in a game that had only really come to life a couple of minutes earlier when Mateta had a goal ruled out quite controversially, really, for an apparent foul on Esri Konsa, who could have scored himself. Watkins has tried to be the focal point for Villa's attack. They've got to attack better in the second half, because at half-time at Wembley in the FA Cup semi-final, it's Crystal Palace 1, Aston Villa 0.
So Crystal Palace leading by a goal to nil. The only thing you would say, should it be more? They had chances. I know there was a save from Henderson denying Esri Konsa, but chances for Palace. Mateta for Sarr, and somehow just miscued that header. And then an even better chance for Tyreek Mitchell towards the end of that first half. It will just nag a little bit of those Crystal Palace fans. The job of the players, of course, is not to worry about it. Palace deserve to be in front. Villa haven't really got going just yet. They created that one chance, but Palace have had the lion's share, and they lead by a goal to nil at half-time at Wembley. So let's take a look back at the highlights of that first half. Tremendous atmosphere. Two sides by no means habitual visitors to Wembley, and it makes for such a special atmosphere. The early hit from Boubacar Kamara flying over for the Villa, but a good bright start from them. Just opened up in front of him, and why not? And then the throw from Lucadine, his ball in, fell for Rodgers, and that was pushed just wide. And the kind of form he showed this season, you might have expected him to score there. But then the attention switching to Palace. The ball forward by Chris Richards, a chase down here by Mateta. There is a foul on Concert. I know he finishes it, but if you watch, there's a little kick to the calf here from Mateta. He complains, this isn't the angle, it was one from the front. You just see the contact there. The catch is Concert, who should have been a bit stronger, but watch the feet there. That was the foul from Mateta. So that goal was not a goal, but the subsequent strike from Emirates most certainly was. Chased down by Ismail Assar. As Stuart said in commentary, the ball didn't reach its intended target, but what a hit that is. Super cool celebration as well. Eze at Wembley for Palace. And this the goal that has put them in front. Magnificent hit, it really is. Even the brilliant Martinez couldn't keep that out. So Villa looked to respond. They nearly did so almost instantly. The header from Pau, but looping wide. Game certainly livened up. And they both created further chances. First, the charge here from Mateta. What a run this was. And in support was Sarr, who so loves scoring against Villa. Already has an assist here to add to that list, but he couldn't quite time the header right. Great feet there from Mateta. And Sarr made a really good run. And then there were still chances to come at either end. First for Esri Concert. Very good save by Henderson. I know Stuart said it was a good height for him. Follow-up was eventually cleared away. But it's still a good save because it's nearly beyond him here. It bounces almost beyond him and he's able to claw it away. And then Palace really should have made it two here. Another great run from Sarr. Mitchell is there. I must say, for a moment I thought he was fouled. He fell as he went to hit it, but he kicked himself. And Villa eventually getting it clear, but set himself and just couldn't get that right foot swinging. 1-0 at half-time. And so time for some statistics for you at half-time. 5 attempts to 3. Gives you an idea that Villa maybe have not quite deserved to be behind. I thought Palace looked more threatening. One shot on target apiece. The Concert header for Villa that was well saved. They've won 4 corners to 1 for Crystal Palace so far. And 1 yellow card apiece. Anthony Taylor laying down the law early on. Villa, look at that, 66% possession as well. And here are the action areas from the first half. Very, very even, as you can see. We often say that, don't we? Palace just slightly shading it. 26% to 24% in terms of action in the opponent's final third. Emirates Eze is the player who has the goal. 21 touches in all, a pass completion rate of 87% with his 15 passes. There's Morgan Rogers with his 21 touches, 10 passes, and his pass completion rate 80%, but many of those forward passes in the final third, of course. Well, now the last four of this grand old competition has been the stage for so many heroic moments over the years. We reflect now on some of the very best.
David Luiz tried to get there. Here's Eden Hazard! He found a way through! When he was needed most, Chelsea's main man leaves the bench to give them control of the FA Cup semi-final once again.
Chris Waddle, is he going to have a crack? Oh, he does, and he scores! Anything Paul Gascoigne can do, Chris Waddle can do. Alan Kelly beaten before he touched the ball. It's happened again in a Wembley semi-final.
Limpar, Amakachi totally unmarked on this near side of the field, and Ablett of all people steaming on. And he's found Amakachi, who's found the net, and Everton have found the passport to Wembley and an FA Cup final. What a substitute he's proved to be.
It's only a minute to go. It's come to Lee Sharp. Milligan has to get the head on this. Beckford is needed. He wasn't there. It's hooked back in for Hughes. It's there! Extraordinary stuff. Mark Hughes, the volleying specialist, and he rescues Manchester United with a brilliant strike.
It's incredible. The Hornets have really come out stinging.
It's Riyad Mahrez, and going all the way, and scores for Manchester City. The first hat-trick in an FA Cup semi-final since 1958.
Plenty of aerial power in there for the Blades. But can they find a cutting edge? Asaba, Pesky Solano off the line! Goodness me, how did that not go in? Pesky Solano, and it was somehow kept out by Seaman. That is a fantastic save.
Is Gascoigne going to have a crack? He is, you know. Oh, I say! Brilliant! That is schoolboy's own stuff. That was one of the finest free kicks that this stadium has ever seen.
Giggs. Great run here by Ryan Giggs. Oh, what a goal! Would you believe it? Ryan Giggs could have taken Manchester United to Wembley. What a run by Giggs. It's one of the goals of his career.
Part two of the weekend's semi-final action sees Nottingham Forest take on Manchester City. The Reds are enjoying an incredible season. They've consistently defied the odds in the Premier League, and they'll seek to continue this narrative against opponents more accustomed in recent years to this late stage. City, no strangers to Wembley. This will be their 7th successive semi-final. Well, some people I suppose they have different ways of enjoying themselves on Cup semi-final day. Crystal Palace very, very relaxed at the moment, leading by a 1-0 at half-time. Superbly well taken by Emirates. A terrific hit it really was, after good creativity down the right-hand side from Ismail Assar. And there's a really good little look into the Aston Villa dressing room as they start to come out for the second half. They know what a big, big opportunity this is. They won't get too many of these, and already, of course, put out in the Champions League quarter-final by Paris Saint-Germain. They don't want that to happen to them again at the semi-final stage. They would have seen this as a huge chance to reach a Wembley final, and they mustn't let it slip. We've seen that Villa have shown us plenty so far, but can they find a route to goal? Henderson with one really good save from Konsa, but frankly, Palace could easily be 2-0 up. Great chance for Mitchell towards the end of that first half, and a couple of others, Sarr with that header that went astray as well. Here they come then. The Aston Villa players out quite early for the second half. And Unai Emery is such a good motivator, such a good tactician. Will he change anything here? I wonder. He certainly will if it continues in the same vein and Palace remain in front with 25 minutes to go. He will definitely try and find a way. He's got some quality on the bench as well, the likes of Jacob Ramsey, Leon Bailey, Ross Barkley is there as well, Daniel Marlin as well. There is a lot of talent on that Aston Villa bench, so they have every chance of finding a way. For Palace, well, dreaming of a third final, of course they are, and dreaming that it might go one better. Well, it's high time we got back to Wembley for what should be an exciting second 45. Our commentary team of Stuart Robson and Martin Tyler.
Well, welcome back to Wembley. Crystal Palace, the second team out, as if Villa have had their talking to, a goal down, and were eager to get back to the fray to try and put matters right. But he's the player, Stuart, who's I think really ignited this semi-final. The opening goal was always very important.
Absolutely, a great finish as well. He'd hardly been involved in the play up until that point. But coming in on his right foot, read the cross, took a bit of whip on it as well, which made it difficult for Martinez. And from that moment on, the game has been a very good one.
Villa, in fact, have lost 6 of their last 8 games at Wembley. This is their first match here since they lost to Manchester City 2-1 in the 2020 League Cup final. They were in a semi-final to get to the final in 2015, where they beat Liverpool 2-1 here. And then, of course, that game that John McGinn settled was the Championship playoff in 2019 to get back into the Premier League. Here's Matty Cash. Both teams have got pretty strong benches, but no changes at half-time. Cash with a throw. When you think of the disallowed goal, the chance that Mitchell had, this could be more comfortable territory, but sometimes pressure of a 1-0 lead produces a better response to the old cliche 2-0 is a dangerous lead. Fully focused, and Oliver Glasner called for a performance without fear. His team are providing one. Teta flicks on, looking for Eze. They had Michael Olise as well with Eze last season, who was having a fine time with Bayern Munich. Moved away from South London.
A lot of Bayern Munich this season. Probably been their best players, most creative player, Olise.
Here's Gehi. telegraphed the pass. They're still going. There's a clever footwork and again to artistic arc away from the goalkeeper.
Everybody that saw the previous round against Fulham, that's exactly where he scored from. On his right foot and bending it into the far corner. Occasion he didn't quite get the bend on it.
Pau Torres. So lets it run to Cash. Alternatives to come, including, of course, Marcus Rashford. Ross Barkley there, who has an FA Cup winners' medal, this time with Chelsea. That's the way the first half started.
That's what upsets the Aston Villa fans every so often. So at the end of the first half, when he had the ball at the back or passed it backwards, the Aston Villa fans got very annoyed. Right-hand side.
Torres with a very good switch of play again to Rodgers. It's in the all-white strip bursting forward. Rodgers lucky that it broke out to Tielemans, and it was a first-time effort of some quality that Dean Henderson has turned over from John McGinn, who can do that kind of thing in a flash.
Well, it's a carbon copy of Eze's goal, really. Ball played into that sort of area with his right foot, trying to just whip his boot round it. It's a bit more difficult because that was on the sort of volley almost.
Henderson lucky that it was within his reach. And flick on the first part of the corner routine. He's Digne. Turned aside by Henderson, who's suddenly become a busy man.
Well, when we see it again, I think it's a great save by Henderson. Digne hits it really well. Just watch this. We won't get it from this angle. Ball comes out to the edge of the box. It's a great strike. Henderson just gets that bottom hand to it.
Pressure from Aston Villa. As they're trying to launch a counter-attack here. Munoz. Here's Kamara. Feed it into Sarr. Goes again. Tetral trying to compete for this, but he's been blocked off, and with that strapping around his ear, he has to be very careful with those kind of challenges. Martinez was able to come and claim. Blocked by Richards. One of the specialist strikes from the edge of the area, particularly free kicks. He caught that one a minute or so ago, absolutely splendidly. Touch from Rodgers. Trying to get it on to Cash, but Mitchell stands firm. Eze. Mitchell was a little bit lucky. Trying to feed it in. Comes out to Wharton. Ooh, what's Anthony Taylor going to make of this penalty? Eze caught. We do have VAR, of course, so it will be checked. Stuart Robson.
Well, it's clever play by Wharton. It looked as though Wharton was going to shoot. Instead, he passes it into the run of Eze. Cameron, I think, is chasing back. Just runs into it. Here it is. Well, he does catch him. That won't be changed.
He has been booked as well.
It's a complete accident, so I don't think he'll get a yellow card, but it's a penalty.
It's being VAR reviewed. Oliver Glasner accepting it's going to be given, but confirmation hasn't come yet. Aston Villa players holding their breath. Kamara pleading his innocence, fearing the worst.
He's going to say, or that he couldn't do too much about it. Well, he couldn't do too much about it, but he's on the wrong side to try and make a challenge. And he runs into Eze. There's a bit of arguing on the bench.
John Brooks is the VAR, who is a fine referee in his own right, but he's injured actually at the moment. He's been doing a lot of VAR work recently.
Of course, Martinez will play games, as he did in the World Cup.
Penalty confirmed. Jean-Philippe Mateta. And a goal disallowed in the first half. Taking on, many experts view, the best goalkeeper in the world. Certainly the one with the raft of tricks to put opponents off. Will be top of that list. Anthony Taylor trying to tell him he's got to be on the line. It's a really big moment in the semi-final for Crystal Palace, and Mateta has missed. Martinez takes the credit, but really it was his mistake. And what will be the outcome? How costly can that be?
Well, massive let-off here for Aston Villa. He took his time, and he just goes wide. Starts on target and then just carries on going. There's no bend on it, hits the outside of the post. Big let-off for Aston Villa here.
Contrast in emotions as Villa look to take full advantage of their next attack. Richards. Palace have had, relative to Villa, far the best chances. Disallowed goal which could have been given. Obviously the Mitchell chance just before half-time. Now a wasted penalty. They have got the goal in the bank. Camera was most relieved of all, I guess. Here's McGinn. Could this be a turning point?
Aston Villa have to play at a tempo. They've got to play with intensity. Got to take some chances and play the ball forward a bit quicker. Just holding on. They thought there might be a handball. They're going to carry on.
Tielemans. Now Konsa. Marco Asensio. It's a little bit tight with camera. There's been a few occasions of Villa doing that. Here goes Mateta. On track this time. Asensio trying to wriggle away, but Palace had him wrapped up that time.
He's not had the impact that Unai Emery would have wanted from Asensio. He's been given a free role, really, to go where he thinks he can get on the ball and make things happen. Hasn't worked out for him so far.
And I do think it's impacted adversely on Tielemans' performance. Still 1-0, 10 minutes into the second half. But Martinez, the kind of ball that Watkins will chase with gusto. Just a bit too long. Palace have to watch that. Kamada. Forward by Wharton, but cut out by the adventurous Cash. Pau Torres. McGinn. Rodgers. Advantage played by Anthony Taylor, I suspect. And then McGinn gets the pass from it. It's actually a goal kick.
Well, up to that point, it was good play from Villa. They played around the pressure. They passed it forward. They had players linking up. And that next pass by McGinn wasn't quite good enough.
Now he would have loved the penalty to have bowled to the back of the net. His sweaty palms. There's Roy Hodgson, who started as a youngster at Crystal Palace and ended up being the manager many years later. So Oliver Glasner succeeded Roy Hodgson. Rogers. Good work by Wharton. Here's Sarr. Great goal! Palace lead 2-0. Ismaila Sarr just drilled it home. Martinez beaten. And Palace, having gone through the disappointment of wasting the penalty, their optimism rekindled again, and they do lead 2-0.
What a part that Wharton plays in this. When the ball's played into his opposing midfield player, he comes and wins the ball, and he wins it fairly. He doesn't dive in. Tielemans is a bit slow, tries to play it round the corner. Link-up play with Mateta. I thought he was going to play it wide, but he strikes right through the back of the ball. Sid Martinez didn't have much chance with the first goal. Can't quite get there with the second either. So with that bit of space to run, you can see he just wraps his foot around it slightly. The bend takes it away from the goalkeeper and into the far corner. What a good strike.
It absolutely zips in. And at the end, where the scorer is so close to his supporters, well, he's done some damage already this season to Aston Villa. He scored in the 2-2 draw at Villa Park in the Premier League. He scored 2 in the 4-1 home win in the Premier League in February. And now he might just have settled the semi-final.
A couple of substitutions here for Aston Villa, no surprise.
John McGinn is off. Leon Bailey is on. And Ian Maatsen played here. One left back for another. Luca Dini goes on. Ian Maatsen played here for Borussia Dortmund less than a year ago in the Champions League final when he was on loan in Germany. Wharton. Kamada. Wharton goes in again. Absolutely imperative from Villa's perspective that they get the next goal. Leon Bailey's been out of the picture recently, a bit of injuries, also been a little bit chastised for not tracking back. No time for tracking back now. In the direction of the Dean Henderson goal. Left-footed from the right. Here he is. Winning a corner off Tyreek Mitchell.
Well, he's got to have an impact. And on the right-hand side, as you said, left-footed. I think he crosses in with his left foot to drive down the outside, and set plays like that one there.
Cash. Asensio trying to fire it in. Blocked by Ezer. Maatsen. Now Cash, all back for Palace. Tielemans. Camera. Bailey. A decent ball, well defended by Richards. Camera. Tielemans. Well, There's that kind of distance at the other end of the ground that he won the cup for Leicester.
Yeah, had a bit of dip on it, but not quite enough. And Tielemans, the player that the ball taken off him by Wharton for the second goal. You can see it's coming down quickly, but not quickly enough here.
Crowd up on the big screen, the figure 82,301 for this Wembley semi. Fearing the worst, hoping for a kind of turnaround. We were talking at half-time, Stuart, there was a game between Wolves and Watford, a semi-final that you and I broadcast together, and Wolves were 2-0 up.
And ended up losing.
Yep. And that Watford team is Will Hughes, who's on the bench for Palace here today. Went on to play in the final. So it's not done and dusted. Villa, who very, very rarely fail to score, need to score desperately now. Palace 2 shots on target, 2 goals. Eze. Exploring avenues again. Salah can't get there from Munoz' knockdown. It's well won by Wharton. Salah might be offside, but they play on. And the communication from the referee and the assistant is Villa have got the ball. We need to stop it.
Another good challenge by Wharton in midfield. I don't think he's dominated the game in terms of his passing or getting on the ball, but he's made 3 or 4 really good challenges. Very key moments.
Well, the challenge that set up eventually the Sarr goal was absolutely perfectly timed. Mateta will feel that having been involved with the final pass to the scorer Sarr. Catch. Konsa. Tielemans. Oh, he was late. Richards going to get a yellow card for that on Rodgers.
And Rodgers has gone over to the other side up against Richards. Thought he could win the ball here, just gets away from Rodgers, or so he thought. He just gets there. The Aston Villa man. It's always going to be a yellow card for the right-sided centre-back.
Thomas still coupling passive, but inside. It's great love. He's got the tie on. For the club that he managed so successfully. So Yuri Tielemans for Villa. Richards gets ahead to it, but it's not a clearing head. It's quick work from Watkins to get there first. Crossed by Rodgers. Henderson with a punch. Comes down to Leon Bailey. A lot of bodies to try and blast it past there. And he couldn't manage it. It must have gone off a Villa player, I guess.
Might have been Pau Torres that was down in the box. As you said, good play from Ollie Watkins. A nice ball played in. Took his time. And here's Pau Torres.
Couldn't get out of the way.
Yeah, I think he's the player on the floor. Really good ball from Rodgers. Just lifted up. It's actually, yeah, it's Pau Torres. That would have been a good introduction for Bailey.
Well, he's got plenty of the ball already, hasn't he? And he's got his goals in those sort of situations, coming in from the right-hand side, and it drops on his left foot. Here comes Martinez. Here is Pau Torres. Konsa. Remember, Palace are supposed to be the more fatigued of the two teams, having played on Wednesday night as opposed to Villa's Tuesday night. So we'll see whether that kicks in the last quarter of the 90 minutes.
Well, neither of those games were easy, were they? Aston Villa against Man City and Crystal Palace against Arsenal. So they have to chase the ball around against those two teams.
And so only 3 changes from the lineups on those midweek nights for this semi-final. So it's not as though they threw some squad players in to fulfil the fixture. Jacob Ramsey. No Marcus Rashford. Oh, maybe. A couple of changes. Eze. They need a goal, Aston Villa. They're not quite going to get it. Sort of stumbling into the box in the end.
I don't think Rodgers has done enough today. Had that one run in the first half down the right-hand side. He can be an in-and-out sort of player. Let's see Ross Barkley come on and try and maybe dominate the midfield, create 1 or 2 moments.
I see why Rashford's not warming up, because he's not a sub. Daniel Marlon has got the forward berth. So Jacob Ramsey and Ross Barkley. So Marco Asensio is off. Jacob Ramsey's a talented midfield player, has an eye for goal. And Ross Barkley, he's been around the block a few times, of course, made his name with Everton, has won the FA Cup as a substitute, didn't get on the pitch actually, in his time at Chelsea. So on goes Matty Cash. And here comes Leon Bailey. Matson. Villa are in a tight corner here. Ramsey getting down to business. Tielemans only just coming out to a wider position. In the end, there's a shot from Barkley.
Got his game back on track, didn't he, at Luton last season? He played really well in a struggling side. Just bought himself a bit of space, trying to use the inside of his boot. Probably not the right technique on that occasion.
Had over 30 times for England. He's a good man to have in this situation. Tyrone Mings still managing a smile, but it's not going Aston Villa's way. Still 20 minutes to go.
It's that dangerous scoreline you were talking about a little while ago. 2-0 up. And Crystal Palace stopped playing. Have they stopped trying to go forward?
They know them. They've got the measure of the Villa for a 4th game really this season, and they're looking to make it 3-0. That's not a dangerous lead, by the way. Here's Cash. Pressure by Mateta. Not cheerful enough, the cheerleader.
They weren't quite so happy when he missed the penalty.
No, nor was he.
Aston Villa need a spark from somewhere. Unai Emery's made the changes. Are we going to see a change in the game here?
You're right. I suppose the danger for Palace is to think a little bit more negatively and invite some pressure. But Watkins needs space to run in behind. Rodgers is in the middle alongside him now. There will be opportunities for Palace to counter-attack if they are so minded to do so, and they certainly are here. Clears rather unorthodox way. Been a very busy season for Aston Villa. Played 10 more games in all competitions than Crystal Palace, most of that being the Champions League run. It's Martson scored recently in the Premier League against Newcastle. Cash. Bailey. Mitchell stops the cross but concedes the corner.
Yeah, that's good play from Bailey. Crystal Palace know he wants to come back on his left foot, so they stop that, but he's still willing to go down the outside and win himself a corner here. Try and get the ball in the box with his right foot. And they have looked threatening from set plays, I would say.
As I mentioned earlier, Palace conceded on Wednesday night at Arsenal from a set piece. Wharton was almost the furthest forward for Palace then. He's going to chase it out himself. Martinez. Plenty of patience about Aston Villa.
Not so much patience from the crowd when they start playing around the back and play it slowly.
Cash into position here, but he has to go back again. Tielemans, it's Pau Torres. Madsen outside him. Tielemans. Now with Cash. Mitchell, remember, has been booked, so has to be careful, and Bailey has left him in his wake here. And Barkley trying to get there, and it was just scraped away from him in the nick of time. Madsen, Rodgers. Palace penned in at the moment. Rodgers again. And Tielemans can't get a shot off. Sits down in frustration. It was Mateta who made the challenge.
And he had to get it absolutely right. It was in the box as well, wasn't it? Coming back. Once you go to ground, you've got to make sure you win the ball, but he did it superbly, Mateta.
No complaints from Barkley.
But you mentioned it a couple of moments ago. Bailey out on this right-hand side against Mitchell, who has been booked. He's beaten him a couple of times now. Mitchell will be nervous. There's a certain Ben Chilwell on the bench for Crystal Palace.
Yeah. It's on loan from Chelsea. Missed a lot of football, been out of favour. But the change they're going to make involved Nketiah, but here's Cash. Can they be in Villa this time? Is it just going to break for them in the box? Gaze, cool under pressure, extremely cool. Lovely play by Eze, if Sarr can get there, but he can't quite. Now, Kamada, it's a very clever pass. Martinez is grateful that there's just too much on it. And the space here for Villa. There are three English players caught forward then. Here's Jacob Ramsey. And it's just deflected into the grasp of Dean Henderson.
Yeah, Richard did enough there. It looked as though he was going to be beaten and the cross was going to come in, but he just stuck out a right foot. Not half a block on it. Rodgers is now playing in behind Watkins. That's mean that Ramsey's playing sort of through an inside left position with Madsen coming even wider down that left-hand side.
Final instructions. Nketiah. A straight swap for Mateta. Tielemans. Rodgers has been the threat. Here's Bailey, who's definitely come on and added power, parried by Henderson. Again, it breaks Palace's way.
Definitely Mitchell's got a problem against Bailey. Bailey's going past him so easily. Good save again by Henderson. Bailey trying to strike it across the goalkeeper.
A semi-final clean sheet for a very ambitious goalkeeper. He's played a couple of times for England, but perhaps hasn't quite had the career that his promise at Manchester United suggested. Never really became the #1 at Old Trafford. He's had a fine time in the jersey of Crystal Palace.
That will probably be the end of Mateta.
For Crystal Palace, in the field number 14, Jean-Philippe Mateta.
He's contributed so much to the Palace effort, but the missed penalty will come back to haunt him if Villa can mount a comeback in the 12 minutes or so that remains. He set up the shooting chance for the second goal for Ismail Assar. And the Rodgers race is run, and Daniel Marlon, like Ian Maatsen, had a taste of the Champions League final at Wembley. Another rival. His excellent recruitment in January. Asensio, Rashford, Marlon.
The players, they can play in wide areas, they've got plenty of pace and can go past people and score a goal. But they need them all to come to the fore now.
Nketiah was a substitute who did play in the final when Martinez was in goal for Arsenal when they won in 2020. Actually, really, in the shadows at Arsenal, did get enough game time to play once for England. Might play again, of course, but he hasn't burst into Palace's first choice lineup. He's played his part in this cup run, that's for sure.
It's going to be the long throw. Richards coming up from centre-half position.
Eze trying to protect it. Maybe do a bit more than that. There's Kamada, and he finds a shot. And he goes for a cross. Oh, and Sarr at the back post. Can't believe he's missed.
Brilliant from Kamada. I thought he missed a fairly easy one in the first half. Well, he didn't really see the ball until it was almost on his head. But this, he's got to score. It's a lovely bit of play from the midfield man. Just got to head it back across Martinez, which he tries to do. But it's wide of the post. That would have been the finish.
Villa still alive here. But for Mitchell, Watkins would have had a tap in. And Watkins normally is on the move there to the ball. But he allowed Mitchell to get there first. Fine margin still, even though the lead is by 2 goals for Crystal Palace. Villa corner inside the last 10 minutes of regulation time. Blocked by Wharton from Cash. Headed by quite away. Richards away, but not very far. They're trying to put the squeeze on. One back. Well by Munoz. Supported here by the fresh legs of Nketiah, who goes for goal. Ooh, and it affected its way through. It could have actually screamed away from Martinez, and Munoz was following up.
Yeah, I think Munoz would have been offside had he gone for the ball. He'd made the overlapping run to start with.
Ramsey challenges for the ball. The referee's right there, corner.
Yeah, good challenge. Munoz, that's Lacroix, sorry, who got across there and got the slide tackle in. Just did enough. Centre back.
Short corner is on. Just haven't put a player out to deal with it. squeezed into the middle. They've been winning their headers. It's a bit weary from Mitchell. It's going to be another corner.
Oh, 11th. So that wrapping up for 10. This is their 11th. He's played well in midfield as well, Kamada. Really good job defensively.
Yeah, in a very understated way. Not exactly roasting here, but it is the start of a weekend where the temperature is supposed to rise in the United Kingdom. Temperatures will rise at the Villa end if they get a goal here.
Just the right time to put your flowers out. No more frosts.
Well, you mentioned him just now, Ben Chilwell. He's going to be needed as a definitive salute, and then right in the bottom corner.
Two very good goals from Crystal Palace, really good goals. Lovely early strike from Eza, and that one from Sarr.
Ben Chilwell frozen out at Chelsea. He's in the Chelsea team that lost the final to his former club Leicester. Henderson fisted away. Good work from the keeper again. Madsen. No challenge by Kamada, which he gets booked.
There was talk of Lerma playing in that midfield position, but Kamada, as you said, a favourite of Glasner. He's late. There's a foul. Quite right, he gets the yellow card. And I think he's been excellent today. He's worked really hard. He's linked up with Wharton. Stopped Aston Villa really dominating that central area.
Whipped in by Madsen. Sarr got a very important touch to it. Retrieved here by Bailey. Wastes no time in planting it back to the back post. Just veering away from Ross Barkley, who's seen the potential of going into that area.
Probably the wrong player around the back, wasn't it? The big centre-back might have been able to just get that extra bit of leap and put it back into a dangerous area. Time running out here for Aston Villa.
Which is a swing and a miss. Here's Marlon. Still going. Likes a shot too, but recognises more potential, giving it to Matty Cash, who can drive towards goal, and then it's one of those from that angle. It's got to be a shot, really, hasn't it? I don't know whether it was to put it into that area, or was it just a mishit shot?
I think he was caught in two minds, as I am when I'm thinking about what he was trying to do. Because it wasn't right to get the shot away, because it was in between his feet almost. Just has to play it into that 6-yard box and hope somebody's come in on it.
Well, only recently they had the pain of the exit from the Champions League by the narrowest of margins after an amazing fight back against Paris Saint-Germain. Here they are. I think it's the nemesis of the club, really. Crystal Palace seem to have got their number again. Bailey. Kamada has to be careful now on a card. Pau Torres. Too long. And not long enough. the moment it feels for Aston Villa.
Substitution for Crystal Palace. In the field, number 10, Emirates.
It looks as though he's set Palace on the road to the final. It's been tight enough territorially to say that is not sealed in stone yet.
Two big players coming off here.
And two midfield battlers on Jefferson Lerma, you mentioned earlier, Will Hughes, who I mentioned earlier, who played in that Wolves game for Watford when they came back from 2-0 down to win the semi 3-2. They got hammered in the final by Manchester City in the end, 2019. It could be Manchester City again for Will Hughes. The clock ticks on.
Aston Villa need a goal very quickly here, but if they do get one, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of added time here. That seems to be the case in most matches. Could be a nervy finish for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, and players do, even the best players, do seem to be affected when the time is ticking down and you know what's on the board. Some daft decisions made late on. Well, that was a daft decision to try and get a goal. Well, we're hearing, Stuart, 7 added minutes.
That will give some encouragement to Aston Villa. That pass certainly wouldn't.
Yeah, he's just heard, I think. They'll be counting down. He'll be counting down. It's a different red and blue rather than the claret and blue at the other end. It's dominating. Flag waving. We do see so many late goals now in the English game. Marlon might get there now. Squeeze it goals for Henderson. Hardly believe his luck that it just bobbles through that. And he had to reach out for it. There was a bit of spin, but capable hands made light of that. The Villa fans, some of whom are heading for the exits, but when that 7 minutes goes up, they think again. Nketiah. To it by Pau Torres. Long from Matson. 7 confirmed. Hughes. Kamada. Lerma with a bit of miscontrol, trying to get to the pace of the game. Lost his place in midfield because he can play at the back. And when anyone's been missing at the back, Gay had a suspension quite recently as well.
Yeah, Richards, when he was suspended, Lerma went into that right-sided position.
He is a midfield player by trade. Cash.
It's always a dangerous thing to do. I always think for a manager when you take maybe the 2 most influential players off, or all 3 most influential players are now off. So if Crystal Palace did have to go to extra time, they might have a problem.
Here's Bailey. Chilwell had to deal with him this time. Matson. Down by Marlon. Richards didn't need to play that actually, but he didn't know that. Marlon goes again. But those sort of things are happening. Misplaced passes, scuffed shots, bobbling balls in the box, not really converted. When you try so hard, you're almost trying too hard.
Well, he'd be disappointed he missed a penalty, but he'd be very pleased with the way he played. So with that man there, what a first goal it was in the game, which changed the game completely in terms of entertainment and the speed it was played at.
Eza just being announced as the player of the game. Comes back now to Pau Torres. Palace drop in to their low block again. Low block, or simply an old money getting behind the ball. Konsa. Cash. Bailey. Cash into Marlon, claiming he was fouled. Anthony Taylor doesn't believe writhing was called by a misplaced tackle. He's going to get no. He's play on something similar maybe. And Nketiah went down, and then again trying too hard. Ross Barkley, simple pass. Not in these circumstances. Not when you're 2-0 down. The place in the FA Cup final at stake, and you're inside added time, even though there's a bit of a chunk of it. He's fearing the worst.
It's not been his day, has it?
Well, they never, even from the beginning, Stuart, you mentioned right at the start when Martinez had the ball, slow. And,
it was the most bizarre opening to a game, because the atmosphere inside this stadium was as good as I've ever heard it, particularly for a semi-final.
Nketiah. And can Sarr get away here and really settle it? Ismaila Sarr! He does! What a way to wrap it up. He scores 2 against Aston Villa again, as he did in February. Game, set and match to Crystal Palace. They'll be back on the 17th of May.
Well, talk about a composed finish. Yes, we know he's got pace, Sarr. But he keeps it away from Konsa the whole way. He waits for Martinez to go one way and just lifts it into the other side. Great pass to him as well, into the space. Nketiah works hard. The referee decides not to give a free kick. Gets away from Konsa with a couple of touches. And as Martinez comes out, look at this for a finish. Sees his body weight going one way and just lifts it into the other side of the goal. It's a really top-class finish from Sarr, who scored that brilliant second goal as well.
Well, now they have silverware in their sights, and they can watch tomorrow as Forest and City battle out for the other place in the final. First Austrian to manage a team in an FA Cup final. He's never seen one. He's going to see one now from the dugout. Almost a case from the Palace fans of saying, can we play you every week? Their domination over Aston Villa, given the kind of season that Villa have had, is astonishing. Villa are still going for a place in the Champions League next season by a higher Premier League finish. They've got 12 more points in the league than Palace. Cleared by Lerma.
You have to say, Crystal Palace have fully deserved the victory. Had that goal disallowed when it's a questionable foul on Konsa by Mateta. They missed the penalty as well. Some decent chances, as well as scoring 3 very good goals.
Hughes. And Nketiah. Munoz is still running. No, the pass wasn't kind to him. It's not going to matter. It's a really difficult question that I posed to you, but can you see why Palace do well against Villa, or why Villa haven't really turned up today?
I think they know the intensity or lack of intensity that Aston Villa try and play with. They try and be patient with the ball. They'll play it across the back. They'll have the goalkeeper stand on it. They don't go and press the ball. They say, go on then, what are you going to do? And the shape never changed. So Crystal Palace always had players around the ball when it got played into the forward areas. And they had enough pace on the counter-attack to cause problems. They have to have Mateta play well and Eze play well. But really, Aston Villa just haven't had enough to break Crystal Palace down, apart from when this man's come on.
Here's Kamada again. How about this? They're off for another counter-attack, and it is Munoz, and he is going to get there this time. And remember that Sarr is on a hat-trick, which Riyad Mahrez did a couple of years ago for Manchester City here in the semi-final. He doesn't need the third. For him, he got the third in the game. Comprehensive from Crystal Palace. They're into the FA Cup final, and yet again they have got the better of Aston Villa, having knocked them out of the League Cup earlier this season and taken 4 points off them in the Premier League. They have now posted a really impressive scoreline to see off a semi-final. It started through Emirates Eze, and then Sarr took over. Mateta missed the penalty in between, but it didn't matter, Stuart Robs.
It certainly didn't. Crystal Palace were disciplined, they were organised, every one of their players knew their job, they did it well. The creative players caused the problems. A magnificent performance by Crystal Palace.
Not Yuri Tielemans' time this time. And Steve Coppell, who keeps his thoughts to himself, he's managed the kind of smile that everybody connected with Palace is feeling now. Clean sheet for Henderson. And at that end of the ground, they saw Sarr coming, but Villa didn't. It's the Eagles that are soaring at Wembley tonight. And the Villains, well, to say they didn't turn up is a bit unfair, but they certainly didn't maximise their talent. And they were nothing like the side that we've seen in the Premier League and the Champions League.
Well, they were a bit like the side I saw in the third round against West Ham, where for 60-65 minutes they played at a slow tempo. West Ham dominated the game, made it very difficult for Aston Villa to break them down, and then they came to life in the last 20 minutes. Today, they didn't come to life in that last 20 minutes, and that's why they've lost the game here.
So it is Wembley, a palace on this semi-final Saturday evening. Villa have to take it on the chin, and they'll be glad they haven't got to play them again this season. And Oliver Glasner can get his troops ready for a final against Nottingham Forest or Manchester City. Hope you've enjoyed being with us at Wembley. Final score again, emphatic in the end for Glasner's Palace by 3-0.
Just a tremendous win, and these Crystal Palace fans will be enjoying every single moment of it. And the players too. It was so dominant in the end, and when you bear in mind that Mateta missed a penalty, and that felt at that moment like a really pivotal event in the game, but it turned out not to be. Villa beaten, and beaten badly here by Crystal Palace to the tune of 3-0. So let's take a look back at the highlights of a dominant display from Crystal Palace. Villa started well enough. Could have been a different story if Rodgers had managed to force that inside the far post.